I want to start off with talking about the general characteristics of developmental approaches. And see if we can form a framework for developmental approaches. Since most of you consider yourselves developmentalists, I want you to feel free to disagree with this or agree with it as you see fit, okay? Okay, we're going to first characterize developmental approaches, then we're going to talk about the approach I've been involved with, our what we call DIR floor time model, and then I'm going to show you some videotapes illustrating our DIR floor time model. Some of you who are been here before will have seen some of these videos, but they're so moving that I want the new people to see them as well, and I hope those who've seen them before will enjoy seeing them again. We're going to have the first slide, please, or the first PowerPoint, as it's now called. Okay. The overall topic of my talk is what makes an intervention work. There are general characteristics that create human growth. And I spent most of my adult life studying what makes for human growth. Psychological growth, cognitive growth, sensory growth of the sensory system, growth of the motor system, growth of all the things that we consider mental. Next PowerPoint, please. Now, developmental approaches, which is at the heart of when we intervene to help a child grow further, there are general characteristics, okay? The first and most important one, I believe, is affect, purpose, and meaning. And what do we mean by affect, purpose, and meaning? Affect or emotion leads to a sense of purpose, which eventually leads to a sense of meaning in terms of what a person says or does. How does it begin? I'm going to talk more about this on Sunday, by the way. It begins with a newborn baby, whether that baby has special needs or doesn't have special needs, turning to the left or right, up or down, and listening to mommy's voice or daddy's voice or the caregiver's voice, whoever that caregiver may be. Now, if the baby doesn't find that voice appealing, if it doesn't stir pleasurable affect, what do you think the baby does? Turns away, or doesn't look at all, or may just shut down, may even lose muscle tone. We had a study we did of multi-risk families way back when I had the honor of leading an NIMH program where we studied babies and where we really developed the beginnings of our DIR floor time model. And we saw that babies who were born physically healthy, neurologically healthy, within 1 month had low muscle tone and were hypo or hyperreactive to sensations, all because of the environment. And weren't looking or were looking past. So it begins with affect or emotion, particularly pleasurable emotion, directing that first look and first desire to listen. So what do we have here? We have looking, we have listening, and we have movement, all being directed by what? Our old friend, we're going to come back to many times. Everyone say it. Affect, right? Affect. When we have an 8-month-old who gets into what's popularly known as reciprocal interactions, back and forth interactions with others. Why are they doing that? Why are they reaching for the rattle in mommy's hand or something out of mommy's mouth? Why are they taking it? Why are they handing it back? Again, there's affect giving the reason for that baby developing purpose. Right? Because now there's purpose in the interactions, in reciprocal interactions. When that same baby develops his or her first words, what's directing that? What's giving those words meaning rather than just rote repetition? Again, that's our old friend affect. When that baby says mommy, or mommy I love you, or mommy love, or mommy no, right? What's directing that? Again, affect, or else the baby is just scripting. So from motor movements to words to giving meaning to all the senses, our friend affect is at the heart of it. Now, if we have affect related to purpose and meaning as one characteristic of a developmental approach, that has to be at the heart of the developmental model and at the heart of the intervention. Agreeable? We can't have simply memory-based learning. And what's interesting is, when you have affect at the heart of the intervention, affect requires all the parts of the brain working as a team. The front, the back, the sides, the lower, the upper, as they're developing, as the brain is myelinating. So when there are studies done by our neuroscience colleagues, some of whom I hope are here, showing that children with autism are missing not a particular area of the brain, but missing the connections between different parts of the brain, you have to wonder, is this because we haven't been working sufficiently with our old friend affect, right? Because if you harness the affect, then the child begins coordinating the different parts of the brain. And we have emerging evidence that we'll be ready to share with you soon, done by our group in Canada. Devin will be talking about some of the data, but not all the data, because Jim Stevens, his colleague, is ill today, but is cleaning up the data from our neuroimaging studies to show that areas of the brain come online when you work in an affect-based intervention program. So we have nice data for our DIR floor time program that will demonstrate that. Now, if you have affect, what else? What do you need to get affect? You need, our second slide will show, learning through relationships. Because without human relationships, you don't have affect. I mean, you can touch a table, but it's not the same as touching somebody you love. Or it's not the same, or hearing your own hand touch the table is not the same as hearing mommy's voice or daddy's voice, if it's pleasurable. So that's another general characteristic of developmental approaches. And if you can have relationships involving reciprocal interactions in the first year of life, then you need our third slide, our third characteristic, okay? You need caregivers and a family. And without caregivers and a family, you don't have these ongoing relationships. So caregivers and families have to be at the heart, not on the periphery, not observers, but at the heart of the intervention program. We have to work with caregivers and families. We have to support caregivers and families. We have to help them over their challenges. Because unless we do, we're not going to have our old friend affect to the same degree. We may get some affect, but substitute caregivers come and go. Daycare workers change. You have large groups. It's not the same as having the family at the heart of it. And if the family is reluctant, or family members are reluctant to be at the heart of the intervention because they fear, oh, I can't do it. I don't know how to do it. Our job is to work with them sufficiently so that they feel confident. And we won't go through all the details of that right now, but that's part of our job, part of what we have to do. Now, if we have caregivers in a family at the heart of the intervention, it leads to the next characteristic. Next slide, please. That the developmental approach is built on a model where we're integrating all aspects of development. We're not separating out motor and sensory and language and social and emotional as separate pieces. They all work together because that's the way they work in healthy development. And children with special needs are no different than healthy children. They just need a little more help in getting there. So we have to have an integrated model based on a model of health, not based on a model of pathology. Last week, I got a surprising call from Barry Brazelton, who's been here at prior meetings. Many of you know and have read his books, and he's been your guiding pediatrician for many of you. And Barry's, we don't have Barry at this year's meeting, and Barry said, I'll miss you. And I said, oh my God. We didn't have Barry on the program. We had him last year on the program. And I said, next year we're going to have Barry back on the program again. But Barry was part of a group of colleagues who worked with us at the Mental Health Study Center where we did the original research leading to the DIR model, where I had the, again, the honor of creating that program at the center. And he emphasized healthy model, not pathology model, not pathology model. And he should be given credit for that as the one who's really underlined that. But that's also at the heart of a developmental approach, which leads to our next slide, that if we have an integrated model based on healthy development, we have to understand individual differences. Because each of us, no matter what the degree of challenge or what the degree of health, have individual differences. So, some children with autism are hypersensitive to touch and sound. Some are hyposensitive or hyporeactive. Some have motor planning problems. Some are sensory craving, so they're moving all the time. Some have auditory processing problems. Some have speech and language articulation problems because of low muscle tone in the mouth, etc. I won't go through all the individual differences, but obviously we need to have work on each of these as part of the approach, and that has to be taken into account in the way you relate to the child. So a child who's overly reactive to sensation, you're going to use a very soothing voice. Sweetheart, here's mommy. Sweetheart, here's mommy. But a child who's underreactive, you're going to be, sweetheart, look where mommy is. Look where mommy is. A child who's craving sensation and moving around, a slightly older, more mobile child, you're going to find constructive ways to harness that energy so that that person becomes a mountain climber or executive or a great dancer or a great athlete. But you're going to find some way to work with those individual differences. That's why we have, our next slide, a team approach with occupational therapists as needed to work with the sensory system and motor system, physical therapists as needed to work with the physical, the motor system, speech pathologists, visual spatial specialists, etc. Psychologists, other mental health professionals, biomedical specialists like Ricky Robinson, who'll be talking about that tomorrow, nutritionists. So we need a whole team approach. So that's another characteristic of our general developmental model. Okay, next slide, please. Now, there are probably other characteristics of our developmental model you guys can think of. And I'd be happy and eager to hear from you about what you think they ought to be, because this is something in formation. Sally and Amy and I were just talking just before we started the meeting about the need to bring the developmentalists together as a group. We have big battles to fight, as you know. There's legislation pending in many states, trying to make it a one-size-fits-all approach. Every child needs to get just ABA or just, this approach. And we need to broaden the playing field so there's choice that parents can make. And developmentalists, who I believe represent the more modern view and really are more in synchrony with the latest neuroscience research of how the brain works, need to be coming together. And so I welcome your ideas, and our Interdisciplinary Council for Developmental Learning Disorders welcomes your ideas about what these characteristics should be for developmental models. So it's not just our model or Amy's model or Sally's model, but it's all these models, and they'll each strengthen the other. They'll each have elements in it that the others can learn from, and they'll each be developing data. And then we can have more and more studies and more data showing how well these approaches work when they're done well, when they're done correctly. Now, in the model that I've been working on for many years, and my colleague Serena has been working on with me for many years, and we've written about, we call the DIR floor time developmental model. Now, many of you have asked me about the history of this model. How did it all start? What was the beginnings of it? And I'll just take a few minutes, not much, just a few minutes, because this really requires an hour presentation in its own right, and I only want to take about 3 hours this morning before I turn it over to my colleagues. So I don't want to take too long. But way back, when I first got interested in mental health, which was in college, I was a sophomore in college, and I was saying, what the heck am I going to do with my life? I want to become I only had 3 choices in my family. You know, doctor, doctor, or doctor. Lawyer was too chancy. So then it was, okay, if I got to become a doctor, my brother was already in medical school, what type do I want to become? And I was fortunate enough to be taking a course with Clyde Kluckholm and Professor Murray, who helped develop the TAT, and heard my first lectures about Freud and Erikson, and read Freud and Erikson for the first time. And then said, okay, I'll become a psychiatrist, you know, go into mental health. And that was the beginning. And I had no idea I would get interested in children at that time. Then as I got into my residency training program in mental health, I said, this starts early in life, you know, in childhood. So I said, why not do some child psychiatry training? Why waste my 3rd year just being an administrator, you know, where you become a sort of a chief resident on different services. So I said, okay, I'll do child psychiatry, but I'll just do a year of it, just to get a flavor, because I was going to work with adults. But I was lucky. I came down to Washington and worked with Reg Laurie, and he said, babies, first 3 years of life. I said, Reg, who's passed away now, but was the pioneer, really, of the first 3 years of life. And in many ways, it was at the spirit of creating ICDL. He was with us at the Mental Health Study Center, where I was also joined by Serena, and we formed a nucleus, and then had people like Barry and Selma Freiberg and Sally Province and others come in as a working group with us and as consultants, and we had regular meetings with them. And as I got more and more interested in younger and younger children, because it only made sense, I began saying, okay, who are the theoreticians who can help me develop a framework for understanding how development occurs? So I started reading the psychoanalytic literature, I started reading Piaget, I started reading the behavioral literature, because I had taken a course with B.F. Skinner in college. So I read about operant conditioning. I figured there's not that much known about human development, not much known about the human brain. Why not try to master that limited knowledge that is known? But being the kind of person I was, I couldn't just sit passively and read. At that point, you would know it now, but I was a kind of a jock and a active mover and a person who liked to do things. So, what did Richard say? A ladies' man. Yeah, that I wasn't. I was very fortunate, and I should introduce my wife, Nancy. Nancy, would you stand up? I was fortunate in meeting Nancy, but other than that, I was not the kind of ladies' man Richard was. So I began doing some monographs, and this corresponded to after I'd done a year of child psychiatry training. I went over to NIMH on a special program and started doing research there. Then I was given an opportunity to go over to the Mental Health Study Center, where I was just there at the right time. They wanted to change things, and I got to opportunity to be director of the Mental Health Study Center, and I could create a new program. I brought Red Glory, who, again, just fortunately was retiring, over as a consultant, and we created the Clinical Infant Development Program. And in that program, I hired Serena, and she became our clinical director for our program where we work with multi-risk families, and that's where we brought in a lot of the leading experts. But I did 2 monographs, one integrating psychoanalytic and operant conditioning, which is at the heart of ABA theory as a model. And then I did another monograph integrating Piaget and psychoanalysis called Intelligence and Adaptation, which is still available, by the way, for those who are interested. And in the Piaget monograph, and you'll see the last chapter is basically our DIR floor time model, in the sense that it has the stages of development, the 6 stages, core stages and the advanced stages, which is a synthesis of what these pioneers had observed. But it took the pieces they had observed, the affect piece, the cognitive piece. I also studied, what the motor theorists had and the sensory theorists, tried to learn from my OT colleagues. We had a team of people at the Mental Health Study Center and our Clinical Infant Development Program, and put all that into the model. So that was the beginnings of the model. Many of you asked me how it all started. And then we were working with families, so it became informed by the real world, by working with real families and children who were having problems, some of whom were beginning to look autistic even in the first year of life, but we had the chance to follow them progressively. We had a chance to see them as they were developing their problems, not from an older child special needs model on down, which is the way the rest of the field was going. So we were coming at it from the bottom up, not from the top down. And that's where we developed an affect-based approach, because we saw that was so critical to all this. So that was at the heart and the beginning of it. And then it became further and further developed. And the book, I think, that best describes our current theoretical superstructure. There are many books that are describing our clinical and case studies. And you're familiar with those around in the bookstores. But the book that describes the overarching theory is a book called The First Idea, co-authored with Professor Shanker, who's become my good friend Stuart Shanker, who runs the program up in Canada, where a philanthropist read that book and gave a $5 million grant to start a program at York University, because he was a graduate of York University. That's where we started the program there. And that's where we're developing the database now to support these ideas. So that was the beginning of how we developed this integrated way of thinking. And it's become fine-tuned, and it's become further developed. And I hope many of you have read Engaging Autism, which describes this, as well as A Child with Special Needs, describes this in terms of children. There are some new books that I'll alert you to in just a minute. But let's have the next slide. In our DI, I just want to go over very quickly our DIR floor time model. In our DIR floor time model, we have our fundamental developmental capacities, which is our 9 stages. How many are familiar with these? Terrific. And they focus on how a baby or a child with special needs develops the ability to focus and attend and be calm and regulated, engage with others, and begin interacting with others in a continuous flow of back and forth signaling, using gestures, using affect, using different sounds. But these three cores are critical. If you don't have this foundation, it's at the bottom of the pyramid, then the rest of the development won't occur properly. You can teach all kinds of splinter skills from now till blank freezes over, and not much is going to happen unless you develop this. The biggest missing piece, just to highlight this, because many of you are clinicians, is getting that continuous flow going. Many, even of our most senior DIR specialists, including myself, have the hardest time with getting that continuous flow going. We can get a child to focus and attend, even get a little better regulated, get that child, help that child become engaged, teach the parents how to pull the child in, entice the child with a special tone of voice, putting something funny on their head. I remember the child who was biting his finger recently. That's all he would do, So I said to Daddy, I said, put your finger in your mouth and bite your finger, and smile and see how good it tastes. And then offer your finger, say, this mine is better than yours, to the child. And within 3-4 minutes, the child was smiling, sucking on Daddy's knuckle, giving Daddy his knuckle to suck on, and we had reciprocal interaction from a child who was, quote, perseverative, self-injurious, and dangerous. 3 or 4 minutes. It doesn't happen every time. It was one of those magic moments. But it's a magic moment that makes your day, if not your year. So these are core, and the hardest thing is getting this continuous flow of back and forth interaction. So what we were doing with this child was getting a back and forth interaction between him and Daddy. But they tend to be short. And if you can get them to be 50, 60 back and forths, each one a little different than the other, each one a little more innovative than the other, right? Then you're really cooking, because that's a high degree of variation of affect, it's a high degree of variation on motor, on sensory, all the systems are being used in that back and forth interaction. And you have a whole different child. Then you get into something we call shared social problem solving, which is stage 4, where the child is taking you by the hand, showing you things, pointing for the first time. And then you build on that symbols and language which have meaning. Because when in healthy typical development, or as it's called now neurotypical, which is part of the movement of neurodiversity, in neurotypical development, this occurs easily. In children with special needs, with neurodiversity, it may require more practice, more ingenuity on the part of the caregiver or intervener or partner in the interaction. But getting that continuous flow going is often missing. So I see children who are reading, doing math, who are speaking in full sentences, have correct grammar, but don't have the continuous flow. And therefore they don't have the affect variation and the affect subtlety. And therefore, when they get older, people say, well, I know they're autistic. And I say, why? Well, because they don't have the variation on facial expression, on affect. I said, well, look at this child. He was diagnosed with autism at age 3. He has it, and he's super empathetic. And it was because we were successful in getting the continuous flow going. It's not easy to do. It's not easy, but has to be a critical focus. So I just emphasize it as a kind of, not as a side point, as a main point, but as part of our DIR model. And it's missing among many programs that consider themselves floor time programs. It's just not enough work on that level. You can work on higher levels, supposedly higher levels. That's really the highest level of human interaction, is back and forth, having a long conversation with someone, right? It's the heart of a relationship. What do most adults come and complain about their spouses about? They don't talk to me enough. So it's really critical for everything. And if that goes well, then we get to creative use of ideas, and ideas are truly creative, and pretend play is very important. Then we get to connecting ideas together, answering the why questions, getting to be a causal thinker. And then we get to higher levels of thinking, multi-causal thinking, gray area thinking. So you can do what supposedly George Bush didn't do, but many would claim he could do, who love him and like him. So if you're a fan of his, he could do it. If you weren't a fan, he's an example of someone who couldn't do it. And then we get to reflective thinking, where you can take a step away from yourself and actually say, gee, I'm feeling a little more antsy today than usual, or I'm feeling a little more happy today than usual, I wonder why. But you don't get to that level unless you build through these levels of the pyramid. So those are our 9 levels. And they're integrated in the sense that at each level, and I won't go through this now, you can see how the sensory, the motor, the language, cognitive, and affect and social are all working together, whether it's in peer relationships or in a caregiver-child relationships. So there's no substitute for going through step by step by step. Okay, next slide, please. Here you just see a quick outline of these core levels. Next slide. And here you see the advanced levels, levels 7, 8, and 9, with the higher levels of thinking. And that reflective thinking is something we keep then advancing throughout our lives. But yet, the first glimmers of it occur between ages 9 and 13. And then you keep getting better and better at it as you get older and older. And I hope most of you, how many of you consider yourselves reflective thinkers? Only about 1/3 of you. All right. Well, you know what that shows me? That almost all of you must be reflective thinkers, because or else you won't be able to make that judgment. So I think we have a whole audience of reflective thinkers here. Okay, next slide. Now, in our DIR floor time model, the I stands for individual differences, such as I mentioned before, motor, sensory, language, cognitive, and social functioning. So these are worked with as part of our team approach. But here's the critical ingredient in our DIR floor time model. This cannot be worked with only in once or twice or even 3 times or even daily speech and language, occupational therapy, physical therapy, etc., counseling sessions. When a child has sensory needs, they have to often be worked on 10 minutes out of every hour, or 5 or 6 times a day. When they have motor challenges, they need to be worked on throughout the day. And they have to be integrated with the floor time work, the interactive work, which I'll be demonstrating on video shortly. Next slide. The R piece is learning relationships in the family, among educators in the child, among the different therapists in the child. And these are relationships that are tailored to the child's unique profile, the D and the I. So it's always individualizing the way you interact with that child that counts in our DIR floor time developmental model. It's not simply having a one-size-fits-all approach. So every child gets a different variation, a different way of being intervened with. Because every child is unique and every individual is unique. Next slide. Now in the DIR floor time model, we use the child's natural interests, his or her emotions, to ignite these processes. So we're always, that's why we're following the child's lead. Now, not all developmental models follow the child's lead. Some are a little more structured. That's fine with me. If you can harness the child's emotion, what works, works. We find that it's best to do that by looking at what the child is doing, like a child who's sucking on his knuckle. That's the beginning. A child who's going like this, walking around the room, that's not perseverating. That's dancing. We're dancing with them. And pretty soon we're having fun together. So that's the way we do it in the DIR floor time model. In other models, may be done differently, may have a bag of tricks that help ignite the child's emotions. But you need to use a child's emotions, and natural interests, I think, are the easiest and best way to do it, but that's where debate and opinion are great. Next slide. Through understanding the child's profile, how they're unique, how their D, the I, and the R works for that child, we enter the child's world. We draw the child into a shared world. It's in that shared world that we begin making progress. We begin mastering each of the stages of development. Okay, next. So learning occurs in a natural, meaningful, and self-motivated manner in this special world that we've helped create for the child. And that's what's important. And next we're going to start our illustrations. I'm going to show you some videos now that will hopefully bring home some of these points. And this is just a brief tattering of illustrations. I've just picked some out. Some I've shown before here. There'll be workshops that many of you have signed up for. And I want to thank you, those of you, and most of you. This is remarkable, really, that most of you, over 90% of you have signed up for the workshops. So that's very, very gratifying. But there'll be my distinguished colleagues. We have a whole group of very, very talented individuals who are giving these workshops and who are also practicing around the country and in other countries as well to bring this approach and give it life in every location. So let's turn on to our first illustration.
You think you can make that jump? Go try to make that jump. Can you make it jump? Make it jump. Jump, 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 jump. Is that good? Where are you going? What about the horse? Can we make the horse jump? Can we make the horse jump? Make the horse jump. Make the horse jump. Come on. Good girl. You want to give the horse a kiss? No. Oh, well, that's right. What about our card? You forget about our card? Where are you going? Another house? It's about the inner house. Come on, honey.
Now, Mommy, what we're going to try to do is what you were mentioning before. We're going to try to get a continuous flow of back and forth.
That would be nice.
Because that's the first step.
Okay.
I agree with you. That's what we... And she's capable of doing that, but we have to give her the practice to do it. So... So the concept, as you already know, is open and closing circle of communication. We follow her lead,
Right.
then we build on it, then we inspire her to in turn build on what we do. And that's where the circle falls apart, because she'll often do her own thing.
Right.
And then we're kind of running after her, trying to... And occasionally we can get her back and forth, like when you were rolling the ball before Daddy, and where
But
you were
that
getting her to
took
put
a
some
lot
things in the house.
That took a lot of practice, just getting her to be able to do
Oh, I
the
said,
skill.
I see that from prior practice already. Now,
Where are you going?
but we wanted her to get used to the rhythm of back and forth. We're at a skill level that she's capable of. We're less concerned for the moment with the skills
Right.
and more concerned with the back and forth rhythm, whether it's a vocal rhythm or a looking rhythm or rolling balls or putting things in the house or
You want that thing? You
so,
want that.
so we're going to build on what she does and then inspire her to close the circle. Now, to do that, we'll have to get a little playfully obstructive at times. So, for example, let's say you say to her, Mommy, can I see that?
Let me see it. Let me see.
Can I see?
Can I see?
No, don't restrain it. Don't restrain it.
Can I see?
The whole thing has to be a voluntary give and take. Okay? All right? All right. Now let's say she won't let you see it. Okay? You exaggerate your overture. That would get a circle closed, right? Because she's doing something, you're building on it, but you're asking her to let you see it too.
Thank you.
Okay? Yeah.
Thank
See,
you.
Daddy got it.
There's a star, and there's a something. There's a triangle.
You see, here you're losing her, Daddy. See, if you're trying to educate her with complicated language that she's not processing, then you're going to lose her, and you'll lose. Watch this. Yeah. You're going to lose the rhythm of the give and take. So you want to change your orientation from educating her to interacting with her, because the interaction is the real education right now. So you want to avoid the lecture mode and get into the interactive mode. For example, let's say she's unwilling to give that up to you, Mommy. So then you say, oh, well, I got to take it then, here I come. And you come slow motion. You say, here I come, I'm going to take it. Now, as you're coming slow motion to take it, she may either pull it away or run away, or let you take it and then want it back. In either case, whether she's hid it from you or run away from you, in either case, you got a circle, right?
Right. Can you give it to Mommy? Oh, thank you. Now
Ooh,
what
that's
should we
nice.
do? What should we do? Where is it? What should we do? Darn, good girl.
Ooh.
Can I have it back? Can I have it back? Oh, thanks.
Now, what's the stakes? Hide it or something. Hide it under the rug.
Where
Where'd
is
it
it?
go?
Where
Where'd
is
it go?
Where is it?
Did you
Where'd
find
it
it?
go? Where'd it go? Can you find it? Where is it? Where is it? You found it.
Oh, good.
Good girl.
Good, you see? Okay, now each time we change it around. We never do the same thing twice. We don't want it to be repetitive. Ready?
Can Daddy
Ready?
have it? Can Daddy have it?
Thank you. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Get it. Guys, get it. Get it. Get it. It fell down. Can you get it? Good girl. Nice job. Give Mommy.
See, now she's enjoying the game, you see? Now she's enthusiastic about
Where
it.
is it? Where is it? I'm not giving you game. No, you can't have it. You can't have it. Where is it? Come get it.
You
get it, let her get it, let her get it, let her get it. Put it back, let her get it, let her see it, let her get it, let her get it, let her fish for a while. Put it back, okay.
Can I read again? Oh, thanks. Thanks. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Oh, did you get it? You know what? We're going to put it down here. We're going to put it... Oh, you can't have it. You can't have it. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Did you get it? Did you get it? Where is it? There it is. Pull. Yay! Again? Where should we
This
put
time
it?
try it under the rug this time. Try it under the rug.
Oh, where'd it go? Good girl. Nice job. Thanks. Now what? Now what? Where is it? Where is it? It's on your head.
He's trying to make it more complicated rather than simpler. See, on her head it's pretty simple.
Yeah.
Under the rug it's pretty complicated. In the house.
Can you get it? Oh, look, I hit it. I hit it. Can you see it?
See, next time hit it all the way. So
Good girl.
wait, let her see you do it. Say, look.
See it? Did I get it? I got it.
Oh, you got it. You got it.
Nice job.
Now I'm going to give it to Daddy, and Daddy's going to hide it.
Can we go get it to Daddy? Come here.
Oh, Daddy's going to hide it, and he's going to hide it in his shirt. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. He's going to put it in his shirt. Oh, where'd it go? Where'd it go? Where'd it go?
Where's it? Where is it?
Where'd it go?
You don't play with Dad today.
Oh, she's looking in her shirt, you see?
Where'd it
You
go?
see? She's looking in her shirt.
Here's
Look in
it.
Daddy's shirt. Look in Daddy's shirt.
Oh.
Should we hide it again? Where should we hide it? Where should we hide it? Can Daddy have it? Can I have it? I have it. Daddy's gonna hide it.
Oh, Daddy's going to hide it. He's going to put it away somewhere. He's going to hide it.
Oh,
He put it
where
in the house.
is it?
Where'd it go? Daddy put it in the
Where'd
house.
it go? Look for it.
It's
Where
in
is
the
it?
house. I'll give you a hint. It's in the house.
Amberly,
Come this
look
way.
in the, over here, this house.
No, let her do it, Daddy. Let her
In
do
the
it.
house.
You see, what you want to do is, rather than directing her by pushing her body into a position, bring it out and let her see it again. In other words, you should want her to do as much of it volitionally as possible. You just helped her a little bit then, she still did it volitionally, but it's better to bring it out and let her see it again, and then re-hide it.
Can you go get it? You know what? We're going to throw it to Daddy.
Oh!
Daddy has it.
Well, we hide it from I'm gonna throw it to Mom.
Oh!
And now we're going to throw it to Daddy.
Here. No. Here it is. Go give it to Mommy. Go give it to Mommy. That's it.
What's your mommy doing?
Should we hide it again? You like to hide it.
This gives you the flavor of what happened. Now, what got triggered here that made the difference from the beginning to the middle and end? What got harnessed? Our old friend, right, gave purpose. How many months did this little girl gain in development between the first scene and the rest of it? What would you say? She went from, just shout out somebody. Huh? Sound loud, I can't hear. 6 months, how much? 18 months, okay. So somewhere between 6 and 18 months. Everyone agree with that? Now, that happened in the first session during the evaluation. So we always coach in the first session because we want to see the child at their best, not at their worst. Current methods, you test the child, you often stress the child, you separate them from parents, you don't bring out their best, you don't get the affect cooking, you see them at their worst, you build your intervention program based on what they are at their lowest level rather than their highest level. It's a whole different program. Makes all the difference in the world. Okay, this next example will be a briefer one. It's from our training tapes. We have a training tapes for parents, illustration 2.
Look, 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 look. Look who's up there. Who's that? Barney.
Alex,
Sweet boy.
come here, sweetie. Look, Old MacDonald.
Old MacDonald had a farm. E-I-E-I.
Alex.
Boo Boo Bear.
Okay, come back, sweetie. I know that's you, huh? Is that you? Come here. Come on. Let's go play. Come on. Oh, MacDonald. Oh, you know that. Is that Mommy? Is that Mommy? Mommy's getting out? Out. Hi, Mommy. Hi, Mommy. Should she go back in? Hi, Mommy. Mommy. She's gonna go in? Oh, no, you're gonna get out Daddy. Oh, that's a car. Could Daddy go back in?
Entice, don't intrude. Entice, bring him in, let him be the assertive one, let him do to you.
Okay.
See, when he's being avoided, the temptation is to grab him, do to him,
Right.
stimulate him, and only makes him more avoidant.
Got it.
When you entice, you put the fish in your mouth, you flirt with the dolly. Oh, then he comes over to you, and he comes into you, and then let him take that extra step into you. The key thing for him now is pulling him in
Right.
where he's in charge of his body, where
Right.
he's in control, and we're constantly enticing and wooing him in.
Got it.
So that he becomes more comfortable with controlling the warmth and the intimacy.
Got
This
it.
is all about engaging, it's all about intimacy, it's all about him feeling comfortable with intimacy.
Okay.
And he has to feel in charge of that. So we entice, we woo, he wants to move away, he moves away, we entice him back, but we let him be in charge of the body.
Right.
He wants to kick the dolly away. Oh, bad dolly, you're kicking the dolly away.
Right.
Okay, he wants to feed daddy, that's great.
Okay.
So we're enticing. We will sometimes take his little thing in his mouth and put it in our mouth to entice him, because then he'll come to us.
Right.
E.
Okay?
E. E.
That's it, a little ee game. That's it, making sounds at each other. Keep that up, Daddy, that's wonderful. That's beautiful. Yeah, take it out. Well, you say mine, he's got to say mine. You got to say mine. I want a kiss and I'll give it to you.
Have a kiss?
Give me a kiss and I'll give it to you. Give me a kiss and I'll give it to you.
Have a kiss?
Okay.
Yeah,
Wait, no,
boy.
don't
Have
hold him,
another
don't
kiss.
hold him, don't hold him, don't hold him.
Have another kiss. More. More kiss.
Thank you.
More kissy.
Oh, that was a juicy one.
More kissy.
That was a juicy one.
Mm. Can I have another one?
That's
Can
great.
I have another cookie?
That's great. Oh,
Can Daddy have a cookie?
oh, yes.
Thank you, sweetie. What else is in there? Another one. Can Daddy have one?
Ooh.
Mmm. Ah! 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 You got my cookie. What else is in there? Cookie. Thank you.
Oh, that's a good kick. What a good kicker
Yeah,
you are.
boy.
You kicked me. Ooh, now I need a
Have a
kiss to
kiss.
make me feel better.
I'm so sad. Can I have a kiss? 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 Can I have a kiss?
Yeah. Oh, I saw a kiss. I saw a kiss. I saw a kiss coming.
Can I have a kiss? Can I have a kiss?
Oh, that was a
Attaboy.
nice one.
Good
That was a hug.
boy.
That was a good one.
All done.
Yuck.
All done. You want it back? He's going to have to guess which hand it's in. He has to guess which hand it's in. Which hand?
is it?
Which hand is it in? Oh, which hand is it in? Which hand is it in? Which hand? Say mine.
You got it.
Oh.
You saw here, again, our old friend, affect and purpose, right? Got harnessed. Things got cooking, okay? Next, this is a youngster who started out, was in an ABA program, and you'll see Mom demonstrating what they were doing. She wanted him to progress more. That's why she came for the consultation. Okay?
Do this. Good doing this. Do this. I know that's a hard one for you. Okay, this is do this. Good doing this. Sam, say eh. Good saying eh. Say Say mama. Say mama. Good saying mama. Say ba. Sam, say ba. He's getting frustrated.
Okay, well, that's all right. Don't give me the flavor of it. Okay, yeah, that was good. Now, what I want you to do now is, now we're going to shift it around a little bit, okay? So just take some of the same things that you did in the ABA design, some simple imitation things like touch your nose, touch your head, okay? And some of the sounds and words. And now do it free-spirited, with him moving around the room, and you trying to entice him into doing those same things as part of a game where you create some natural motivation for it. Like, well, if you're going to get me to open up, you got to say some of the sounds you want to practice, or get him into an imitative game because you're playing Simon Says, I bet you can't do this, okay? No, do the same things now in a free game-like situation. This is sort of semi-structured. You're trying to do some of these things as opposed to just off of his lead, okay?
Did you say mama? You said mama. Does that mean you want mama? Does that mean you want a kiss? Do you want a kiss? Here comes the kiss. Oh, what a beautiful kiss.
Okay.
Good kissing, mommy.
Okay. Now, what did it, see, the difference here is mama gets associated with a kiss and a whole meaningful gestalt,
Right.
as opposed to just the sounds. Now, the key thing is to notice he's capable of doing it. All right, let's work on Joe.
Do you want to open? You want open? You want mama to open this?
See how he's understanding the meaning of that?
Open?
Okay.
Okay, mommy will help. Oh, are you
Good.
going out? Bye-bye. Bye. Have a good time. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Well, now where are we going? Where are we going now? What do you want? Open? You want me to open this door? Okay, Mommy will help. We'll open another door. We opened 2 doors.
Okay, so here you saw the difference, what could happen when things were done through our old friend and versus repetition and memory. Very, very different quality, right? You got the back and forth, continuous flow going. Now you're going to see a child who you'll see first when he was a little guy, between 2.5 and 3, diagnosed on the spectrum, just for a few seconds. And then at 8.5, he was one of the examples of a child who's done very well in the program. And at 8.5, while he looks like an advanced 8.5-year-old, we're still working on his abstract thinking, and you'll see how that's occurring on his reflective thinking. And he's becoming reflective actually a little bit precociously. And I'll tell you what happened to him now that he's much older. Okay, next one. You see him in two times, okay? Here he is when he was diagnosed on the spectrum. He was lining up cars, not talking, not looking very much, occasional glance at Mom.
That's somebody. ICDL.
Okay.
Who else do you have?
Interested in toys a little bit. Now we see him at 8.5, and you'll see what's happened.
Do the whole thing. It's like watching a boring movie.
Right, I got you. And how do you feel doing a boring movie?
like it.
Right.
That's the only thing I can say.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all. Now, is there anything going on exciting at school?
Anyways, I also want to talk a little bit about my parents.
Okay, go ahead, tell me.
Well, my dad is doing fine. He gets five. I think he's getting an A- dad.
Oh, an A- there. That's great. What's
I'm
he?
actually an A dad. That's
An A
more.
dad. Wow.
That's. I think he was hoping me to get an A+. And mention that with him
Okay.
when it's his turn. And I think Stephen left.
Yeah. Oh, maybe. Now, your dad wants to get an A+. You think?
Yeah,
But
but he got an A.
what's keeping him from getting an A+? What is he not doing?
One, he doesn't handle sensitive people like me.
He doesn't handle sensitive people like you?
Yeah,
What do you mean?
like people who get hurt when something's kind of strict.
Like, could you give me an example?
Like, if somebody says, don't do that in a kind of strict voice,
Right.
even though they want you to know, it kind of makes them get so angry and so frustrated.
Right. So he's not too good at that?
Yeah.
He's not aware of that? He doesn't know that?
He knows that, but he isn't aware enough as he thinks he knows.
Ah. So he knows it, but he's not as aware of it as he should be.
Yeah.
I got you. I got you. So sometimes he's a little too strict and a little too tough, huh?
Yeah.
Got you. And when he does that, how does it make you feel?
How sensitive people do feel when people do that.
How do sensitive people feel when people do that?
Very frustrated, very angry,
Huh?
feel like they want to kill that person.
Ah. So do you feel that way towards your dad at that moment?
Yeah, at moments like that.
Yeah.
That what makes him an A dad.
Uh-huh. That he loses from the A, so that's how he loses that plus factor, huh?
Yeah.
And what are the good things that he's doing to get to that A?
He's real nice on the other hand.
Yeah, like, for example, like what kind of stuff?
Like, you know what? He isn't trying to teach. He's being a nice dad. He's playing with me more than he used to be.
Oh.
Because the thing that you told him to do is working out fine.
Oh, good.
Or we're solving another way,
Uh-huh.
because I have homework to do.
Uh-huh.
So we're kind of both busy.
Uh-huh.
But whenever we got the time, we might play.
Oh, great.
Mostly on weekends.
Uh-huh.
But on weekdays sometimes. And how many minutes has gone so far?
So here you saw just some brief examples of our DIR floor time model. He's in college. He went to one of the more demanding private schools in Washington academically and socially and did very well. Actually was a very good athlete there too, very popular. And now he's progressing in college and doing very, very well. And we have a whole large cadre of children who we've been following up, and we're in the middle of a follow-up study on. We presented, Serena has presented that follow-up data to you in past meetings. Won't be presenting it this meeting, but we're hoping to complete it on a much larger group. And what's remarkable is how many of the children became empathetic, sense of humor, academically strong, popular. Just, it surprised us how well many of them did. Some of them struggle with a little bit of anxiety and depression. Some of them have some learning disabilities. Some of them have some attentional problems. I should also announce, excuse me for this self-serving comment, I have another new book, not through ICDL, but through Perseus Books. It's in the bookstores, called Overcoming ADHD, basically, and then in the subtitle is Without a Pill. And it's a program for working with children with attentional problems without a pill, and it's using the same basic model. And also, many of you asked me if I'm still practicing, still seeing patients, and how to get in touch with me. So here's the answer is yes. It's at the heart of my week, and it's the thing I probably enjoy the most of my week. And so for those who are ask me that's the answer. I'm still cooking. Still getting the continuous flow going. So in conclusion, I want to make this a call to arms for all developmentalists to begin a real grassroots campaign to insist that we bring developmental approaches to our schools, to the availability of all parents and children, and that we work together, and we're eager to hear your ideas. We're very eager to hear your ideas of what we should be adding, what works, what doesn't work, because this is a collective endeavor.